Sunderland are one of the biggest clubs in England. But after a decent start to their first season back in the Premier League, they've completely fallen off. And at the time we're recording, with only 2 games to go left in the Premier League, they currently sit 12th in the Premier League. Now, for a newly promoted team, that's not too bad. But where the board expects them to be, they are quite far off. So today in FC 26, I'm taking over AFC Sunderland to try to turn the sleeping giant back into the Premier League force they once was. Now, just taking a look at this Sunderland squad for the following season ahead, there's actually a lot of quality in this Sunderland squad, with the likes of Robin Roofs, and he can definitely be a part of our long-term system. With Dan Ballard as well, he can be a real big leader at the back. And with their new signings as well, with the likes of Nordi Makalele, and with Gertruda as well, who is currently on loan from RB Leipzig. Just with them two themselves, they can really solidify that defence. And we've got a load of selections in that midfield as well. With Enzo Lefebvre, he brings in that creativity for the squad. And Chris Rigg as well is also the star for the future. While Granit Xhaka adds that experience and that leadership. And going forward, we've got Brian Broby. He's got pace and he's got physicality, which is what we just need in a Premier League quality striker. And we cannot forget in the young 21-year-old Talabi, who's got pace, dribbling. He's going to be so key in the Sunderland squad. And this is where we are going to have to think incredibly hard. We must make the correct signings, and we must also build another system that can compete in the Premier League and potentially even Europe. And this is where the clean-out begins in our Sunderland rebuild. First of all, Timothy Pembele, he will be going to Everton just for 1 year. Arthur Masuku, he is off to RCD Espanyol for £3.6 million. Trey Samuel, he's off to Plymouth Argyle for 1 year. And I was very upset about this, but Dan Neil, he's going to Leeds United for £5 million. We've got some more loans with Eliza Mayenda. He is going to Brentford just for 1 year. And there's some more experience leaving in Luke O'Nien. He's going to Rangers for £1.4 million. And Rusin, he is also off to Preston North End for £1 million. And our star youngster, Chris Rigg, he'll be going to Galatasaray on loan just for 1 year. And Leo Helger, he is off to Al Ahal for also 1 year. And there's some more youngsters going out on loan. Melker Elborg, he's going to Bristol City in the Championship for 1 year. And another youngster being loaned out, it's Romain Mundle to get that experience. He is off to France, to Marseille for 2 years. And Niall Huggins, he is off to Hull City for £1 million. And with the clear out officially done and over, we can go ahead and start splashing the cash. With our first signing being a left back, it is Fran Garcia from Real Madrid for £10 million. And another young signing for the future. I'm very excited about this one. I've always wanted to sign him in my career modes. And it is Jean Mateo Bohoya making his move from Eintracht Frankfurt to Sunderland for £11 million. Welcome, Bohoya. And here is our final departure for the season. And it's Bernard Traoré. He's making the move over to Union Berlin in Germany for £4.7 million. And with the departure of Bernard Traoré, this allows us to bring in a backup right midfielder for Talabi. Welcome in Enrus Poku, he's making the move from Bayern Leverkusen for £19 million. And with the remaining budget, it's all down now to backup players in Diego Liete. He is making the move from Union Berlin for £9 million. With the season up and coming for Sunderland, we need a young prospect to back up in Noah Sadeke. Therefore, we are going ahead to get in Leonard Kyle from Bayern Munich for a quite cheap price as well, for £12 million. And with our final few signings over the line, this is how the Sunderland team is prepared for season number 1. Now, I will be trusting in the youngsters this season, hoping they can grow loads with the likes of Talabi, Dingra, Noah Sadeke, Fran Garcia, Brian Broby, Ryan Roofs, Leonard Carl, and Bahoya, Poku as well. I'm just really hoping we can trust those youngsters to build up the first season, maybe push for Europe, but right now I will expect in mid-table finish come maybe 1st of January, end of the season. But let's get to the 1st of January and just see whereabouts the Sunderland squad can take us. And we cannot forget about the Tyne-Wear derby, the first derby of the season. We're at St James's Park versus Newcastle. Can we pick up the first derby win of this season? Which we do not. Newcastle get the better of us 3-1. Bruno Guimaraes, Nick Voltamada, and Murphy for Newcastle. Brian Bobby on the score sheet for Sunderland. It's not the greatest. It's not what we wanted. But let's just see whereabouts we are in January. Okay, 1st of January. We're currently sitting 11th in the league table. Better than what they are at the moment. But I did predict to be mid-table by January. Hopefully, with the remainder of the season, we can potentially push for a European place. Fingers crossed. And starting off in January with a few departures. Ronaldo, he is off to Everton for £15 million. Alan Brown finally gets his move. He is off to Anderlecht in Belgium for £1.8 million. And the youngster, Tabby, gets his move to Salkenberg. He is off on loan for 2 seasons. And with the departure of Ronaldo, we will need a backup left back. And therefore, we have gone and signed Gabriel Goodmanson from Leeds United for a solid £12.5 million. Now that is what you call a decent backup player. And it's not the greatest of second halves of seasons as we do drop down to 14th, mid-table. It's not what we wanted. I really wanted to try push for Europe, but at least we weren't relegated and at least we're playing Premier League football again next season. And the team's going down to the Championship: West Ham, Coventry and Leeds United. Nottingham Forest win the FA Cup, which is where we lose out to Nottingham Forest in the semi-finals. Liverpool also win the Carabao Cup against Burnley, who managed to make the finals, which is where we get knocked out by Derby County on penalties in the quarter-finals. And stat-wise, Brian Broby, our top goal scorer with 21 goals, 1 assist, 16 goals in the Premier League. That is what we want. He is up by 3 ratings. Simon Adingra, he's up by 4 with 12 goals, 6 assists as well. 12 goals in the Premier League. That is really good. Talabi's also up by 3, 11 goals, 8 assists. Lennon Cole's also up by 3. Player growth is really, really good. And the players leaving next season: Simon Moore, he didn't want to renew a contract, so he will be leaving next season. And with Season 2 officially underway, and Granit Xhaka at 34 years of age, declining down in overall, we're going to need to think fast and quick to find a replacement for him. And therefore, we have gone ahead and signed Nico Gonzalez for Manchester City for around £54 million. Welcome, Nico Gonzalez. And we are in desperate needs for a brand new centre-back as Dan Ballard's not growing as I expected to. Therefore, we're going to focus on the now, and we're going to go ahead and sign Manuel Akanji from Manchester City for £23 million. And with some players leaving the club, this is going to be massive for our future. With Timur Tutorivov, my apologies, he's leaving the club for £900,000. And to bring him some extra money, Elise, he is off to Swansea City in the Championship for £1.1 million. And it's another departure in the young Chris Rigg. He is going to Bournemouth on loan for 1 more season, just so we can try get that growth up, so we can have some game time in Sunderland. And Melke Elborg, he is off to FC Midtjylland on loan for another 2 seasons. And we have finally got the move for our left back, Dennis Sirkin. He is off to Al Qadish for £3.7 million. And there's another departure Nilson Angelo, the young 24-year-old. He couldn't get game time, so he is off to Burnley for £2.3 million. And another loanee, Abdul Bar, is going to Millwall on loan for 1 season. And heading into season 2, this will be our squad. We've only made 2 signings in Nico Gonzalez and Manuel Akanji, both from Manchester City. I do want to try trust in some of the youngsters like Talabi, Noah Sadeke, Simon Adingra, Brian Broby, who had a massive season last year, with the likes of Leonard Kyle, Bahoya and Poku. Hopefully we can grow them up to where in a few seasons time they will be in the starting 11. We're now back in the 1st of January and Sunderland are in a Champions League place. Halfway through season number 2. So far looking good. Could this be our season? We get Champions League football. And if we really want to solidify ourselves as a proper Champions League contender, we really need to start solidifying our midfield. So we are bringing in 22-year-old Tom Bitchoff from FC Bayern Munich for £33 million. 22 years old, 82 overall. I would stick with Enzo Lefebvre, but he's not growing as I wanted him to. So bringing in somebody young and somebody that can grow with our team. And with a few players leaving in January. Leo Haljan, we finally get the move. He gets his move to RC Deportivo for £2 million. Season 2 has come to the end and Sunderland are 3rd, which is what I wanted. Champions League at the Stadium of Light next season. However, our rivals Newcastle United only getting Europa League unless they have won the Champions League. And the teams getting relegated this season, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Southampton and Birmingham City are going straight down. And the Emirates FA Cup goes to Aston Villa. But we get knocked out in round 3 by Huddersfield on penalties yet again. Carabao Cup goes to Chelsea. And yet again we get knocked out in round 3 by Grimsby Town on penalties. Looks like penalties is just not our thing. We've really got to sort this out if we want to get some silverware. And Arsenal win the Champions League. Europa League goes to Juventus. And the winners of the Conference League goes to Ajax. End of season stats. And Talabi is our top goal scorer with 24 goals. 8 assists. What a season it has been for the young Moroccan. He's only up by 2. 21 goals in the Premier League. And the same with Brian Broby, but only 18 goals, 1 assist. 14 goals in the Premier League. He is up by 2 overall. Simon Adingra up by 3. 18 goals, 6 assists, 16 goals in the Premier League. Noah Sadeke is up by 1. 12 assists. 18 goal contributions for Noah Sadeke. What a season it's been for Sunderland. Let's hope we can carry it on next season in the Champions League and a fight maybe for the Premier League title. With season 3 finally underway, that equals big money, Champions League football and big marquee signings. Therefore, we are splashing the cash on left back Gerald Hatto from Borussia Dortmund for £55 million. With Champions League football at the Stadium of Light, we're going to need a solid defence to keep up with the big teams. Therefore, we are spending £61 million on Daniel Vivian. With people going, Timothy Pembele is one of them. He is going to Hull City for £4.4 million. And another player, he's been here since season 1, Nordi Mukalele, he's going to Borussia Gladbach for £10.5 million. Milan Elkasic, he's going to QPR for 1 year. And Gabriel Goodmanson, he is off to Spurs rivals for £14.8 million. And Habib Diarra, he is off to Galatasaray for under £20 million. I really wanted to use him, but he couldn't get that game time and he couldn't get the minutes nor the growth. So he's off to Galatasaray. And another player that can't get minutes, it's Chris Rigg. He is off on another loan. He is going all the way to Italy to SS Napoli for 1 more season. And another player that couldn't get any growth on loan is Romain Mundle. He is going to start an array for £7.6 million. And another player that can't get any minutes nor growth is Diego Lete. He is going to Manchester United for £15 million. And the young keeper, Matt Young, he is off to Cardiff City for £1.2 million. And with all of those player sales finally adding up to a budget, we had £140 million to spend. So I thought, why not go splash the cash on a world-class striker? Therefore, we have splashed the cash on Ferran Torres from FC Barcelona for £77.3 million. With our first game in the Champions League, we take on BSC Young Boys at the Stadion Wankdorf. Hopefully that doesn't get me in trouble. Okay, anyway. This is the lineup for our first Champions League game. Robin Roofs, Ferran Torres, Noah Sadeke, Manuel Akanji, Vivian as well. Can we pick up our first win in the Champions League? Which we do not. It is a 1-1 in Switzerland. Ferran Torres misses a penalty. Manuel Akanji does open the score before half-time. Not a great start to the campaign. But now it's a tough one. We go to the Parc des Princes against Paris Saint-Germain in our second game in the Champions League. It is a 2-2 draw. Talabi and Ferran Torres both on the score sheet. It's not great, but for us it is so ideal. 1 point against a team like PSG. Hopefully we can pick up some massive points later on. And now we've got our first Champions League game at the Stadium of Light. It's against Quarterback. It should be particularly too easy for us. Not so comfortable. Stats-wise, we should have won by more. But the game ends Sunderland 1, Quarterback 1, Ferran Torres on the score sheet to pick up the 3 points for Sunderland. And now we travel all the way to Greece to face AFK Athens in a very tough match. Can we pull off maybe a point? I'll be very happy with a point, but I'll be even more happy with 3 points. Which we do get. Ferran Torres again. 1-0 on the score sheet. It's not what we wanted. Again, stats-wise, we should have scored more. But again, we will take those 3 points. Now, this is a very tough one. We travel all the way to Madrid. Not Real Madrid, but Atletico Madrid. Can we pick up the most important 3 points of our lives? And yes, we can. Atletico Madrid 1, Sunderland 2, Simon Adingra and Trey Humer on the score sheet. What a win for the Black Cats. With our final game in December, before we reach the halfway point, we face Benfica at the Stadium of Light. Surely we can pick up 3 points here. Which we do. Ferran Torres and Bichkov again. Pavlidis misses a penalty. Manu opens the scoring for Benfica. But again, Ferran Torres and Bichkov get the 3 points for the Black Cats. What a win. Halfway through the season, and currently we are sitting 10th in the league table. It's not ideal. It's not really what we want. We really want to be pushing for that Champions League. Maybe a Premier League. It's not ideal, but we still do have 2 more Champions League games in January, which can determine if we can potentially reach the Champions League round of 16. With £50 million left in the transfer budget and Trey Hume not growing as much as I want to, we really need a new right back. Therefore, I am bringing in Rico Lewis from Atletico Madrid for £38 million. And I am very upset by this transfer. He wanted to leave the club, but I was hoping he could grow that little bit more to become a starter. Jean Mateo Bahoya leaves Sunderland. He's off to Nice for around £18 million. I'm very upset about this. And don't forget, we've still got Champions League football. Up next, we have got Ajax at the Stadium of Light. Can we pull off a massive win that can secure our place in the round of 16 against Ajax? Which we do! Oh my god! Oh my god! Not only have we just beat Ajax, we have absolutely thrashed them 6-1. Every shot, every chance equals a goal for the Black Cats. Talabi, Ferran Torres, Bichakov, Cole Leonard, again Bichakov and Adingra on the score sheet. It was such a shame that Zinchenko had to get that goal in the 87th minute. We could have had arguably one of the most biggest wins in Champions League history. Oh my God. And with our final game to go against Borussia Dortmund, round of 16 Champions League football is confirmed. But can we end the season unbeaten? Against Dortmund, and it's 2-0. Adeyemi and Mayala for Borussia Dortmund. Unfortunately, we couldn't end our Champions League run unbeaten. But round of 16 is confirmed for Sunderland. Champions League round of 16. We have been drawn against PSV. Possibly one of the easiest draws we could have got in the round of 16 with the likes of Real Madrid, Arsenal, Bayern, Barcelona, PSG, Dortmund and Manchester City. I'm glad we've pulled PSV. Unfortunately, our centre midfielder, Bichkov, will be out due to illness. That means Enzo Lefebvre will have to step in that centre midfielder role. This is how the team looks for the first tie in the round of 16. Can we pull off a big win? Please say we can, which we don't. We will be heading into the Stadium of Light with an aggregate score of 2-1. We're going to really need to pull things around here. The second leg of the Champions League round of 16 at the Stadium of Light. We need to pull something huge if we want to continue this Champions League run. Which we do not. The score ends 1-1 and Sunderland's dream of becoming European champions come to an end in this season. Hopefully we can finish strong in the Premier League. We are at the end of the season and we couldn't quite get Champions League football. Instead, we do finish 5th, which means we do get Europa League football. Crystal Palace just edging there by 8 points. Not ideal, but we did have a slow start to the season. So I will take Europa League for the next season. And Emirates FA Cup winners are Nottingham Forest, which means I think they get Europa League and we might get Conference League. I'm not too sure. We'll find out next season. And our Carabao Cup winners do go to Manchester City. Nottingham Forest could have done a domestic double, but Man City stopped them from doing that. And the Champions League winners do go to FC Barcelona in an El Clasico final. And Liverpool do win the Europa League. They get the better of Fabregas with the score of 3-1 in Liverpool's favour. And Shakhtar Donetsk do win the UEFA Conference League after drawing Tacoma 1-1 but winning 5-4 on penalties. And end of season stats, Simon Adingra, he is up to an 87 overall, 25 goals, 9 assists. Ferran Torres, 14 goals, 6 assists. Not what I expected from the star man that we signed for around £70 million, but we will keep him up front next season. And the players that won't be renewing their contracts next season are Manuel Akanji, Enzo Lefebvre, Omar Alderete and Daniel Ballard. So for next season, it's all about squad depth. With no Champions League football, I really want to push for that Premier League title and Champions League football once again. Therefore, we are going to sign Eder Militao from Liverpool for £48 million. With a load of backup players leaving last season, we really need to bring up squad depth and some ideal backup players if we want to push for that Champions League. So we're bringing in Matt Weifer on a free. Welcome to the club. And another key signing for squad depth and backup. It's Mamadou Sarr making the move from Chelsea all the way back to Sunderland for £28 million. With no Champions League football, it does come at a cost. Nico Gonzalez submitted a transfer request. Therefore, he is off back to Manchester City for £70 million. Following the departure of Nico Gonzalez, I had to think quick, fast and smart to find a replacement. Therefore, we are splashing the cash once again. We are bringing in Felix Nemecha from Borussia Dortmund for £50 million, just 28 years old. I have had to put our remaining budget into this player, and I mean absolutely everything. We now have no money left whatsoever. So welcome in Ethan Nowari from Liverpool for £68 million. With the team shaping up in season number 4, can this be the season we get back to the Champions League and then the following season maybe win it? Or can it just be the season where we finally win some silverware? I'll see you guys back in January. 1st of January, and so far better than last season. We're in the Europa League place, 5th. We are 1 point off Liverpool, who are on 34 points. Not too bad. So I can confirm we are in the UEFA Conference League. We are currently sat 3rd. We've played 6 games. We've won 4. We've lost 2. It's not ideal, but hey ho. Hopefully we can win the Conference League just so we can get some silverware. At the end of Season 4 and next season, Sunderland will be playing Champions League football once again. Finally, we were 5th come January and we've managed to turn things around. 3rd with the likes of Arsenal winning the league, Chelsea falling behind by 15 points, Brighton sneaking up in the Champions League places as well. And the teams getting relegated will be Ipswich, Southampton and Wolverhampton Wanderers. I feel like it's getting into a little regular routine with the same 3 coming up and going down yet again. Arsenal win the FA Cup, where we get knocked out by Manchester United 4-3 in the round of 4. And Liverpool beat Newcastle 4-2 on penalties to win the Carabao Cup, where we get knocked out in the quarterfinals 2-1 to Brentford. And Paris Saint-Germain win the UEFA Champions League by beating Manchester City 7-6 on penalties. Sporting beat Olympique Marseille to become Europa League champions. And Valencia beat Napoli to become UEFA Conference League champions, where we get knocked out in the round of 16 to SK Rapid. I really thought this was going to be a competition where we could just breeze past it and win, but apparently not. No silverware in Season 4. On to Season 5. Stats-wise, it's been a very, very good season for Ferran Torres. 22 goals, 11 assists, 33 goal contributions. Simon Adingra, he's up to an 89. 22 goals, 7 assists. That is really, really, really good. What a player he's turning out to be. And Leonard Carl as well. 45 appearances, 13 goals, 3 assists. He might become a starter over Noah Sadeke, who's only grown up by 1 overall. We'll have to see in Season 5 and where this goes ahead. With Season 5 underway, we are lacking massive, massive squad depth this season. So therefore, we are bringing in Dorde Petrovic from Girona for £19.5 million. And I believe I've just found Virgil van Dijk's regen chilling on the free agency list. I saw him, I thought, why not? He would be a massive addition to the squad. So welcome Jesse Van Leeuwen for absolutely nothing. And another signing for squad depth. He's left back. He is from Chelsea. He is 32 years of age, but he's got Champions League experience. He can certainly lead the squad when he has to. And that is David Raum from Chelsea. £24.5 million for the 32-year-old. Now, if we really want to compete in the Champions League and push for the Premier League title, we need to make a marquee signing. So I have spent our remaining budget on Ryan Cherki from Manchester City for a record-breaking deal of £120 million for the French right winger. And with the Champions League now in place, our first game of the Champions League campaign is against Bayern Leverkusen. This is how the team stands. Simon Adingra's up to a 90 overall. Let's just see if we can pick up our first 3 points, which we don't. Ryan Cherky gets sent off, which means he'll be out in the next Champions League game. Leonard Carl with the equaliser. Unfortunately, we couldn't pick up the 3 points, which I wanted to. With our second Champions League game of the campaign against Genk, both Ryan Cherky and Bischoff are both suspended. That means Noah Sadeke and Ethan Nawari are in the squad for today's game. Can we pick up 3 points? Which we don't. Again, 2-2 against Genk. Simon Adingra and Felix Nemecha are both on the score sheet. It's not looking good. We're getting the chances, we're getting the shots, we're getting the stats, but we're not scoring goals. This is our second game at the Stadium Alliance. We're facing Lazio. We both have Ryan Cherky and Bischoff back. Let's see if we can pick up 3 points. We really need it, which we don't. This has been such a poor start to the Champions League campaign. At least we're not losing. At least we're picking up points. But we need those 3 points if we want to get further and further into the Champions League and potentially win the whole thing. Simon Adingra on the score sheet, but then they equalise in the 42nd minute. I'm not even going to bother pronouncing that name, but we need to start putting our stuff back together. We now head to the Santiago Bernabeu to face Real Madrid in our 4th Champions League game. We're gonna really need a massive win here. I can't do anything else. Please, just get a win, which we don't. Real Madrid storm us by 2-1. Ryan Cherky on the score sheet, but Jude Bellingham and Kylian Mbappe for Real Madrid. It's not looking good for our Champions League campaign. Next up, FC Copenhagen. Hopefully we can pick up 3 points here, which we do. Ferran Torres and Leonard Carl both on the score sheet. We've got the 3 points that we deserve. Now we just need to keep marching on. And our final Champions League game before we reach the halfway mark, before we head into January. Marseille versus Sunderland. We are at the Stadium of Light. And we pick up a point with Eder Militao getting the equaliser. It's not what we want. Again, like I've said before, we've got the stats there. We're just not taking our chances. We're now in January 1st, halfway through season number 5, and Sunderland are currently sat top of the table. Just what we want. Only 2 defeats, 4 points off Arsenal. This is one step closer to becoming champions of England, and hopefully if we can start picking up some form in the Champions League, hopefully we can become champions of Europe. Fingers are crossed. I'm just hoping for some silverware this season. And we're back in the Champions League. But however, Simon Adingra is out with an injury, so we will have to replace him for today's match. Talabi slots in for Simon Adingra. Can he step in his shoes? And can we pick up important 3 points against Galatasaray? We need massive 3 points here in Turkey, which we do get. Rico Lewis, Vivian and Bischoff gets us the 3 points we need in this Champions League charge. Simon Adingra is still out due to injury, so Talabi steps in once again. It's a big game at the Stadium Lights. We host FC Barcelona. These are going to be massive 3 points if we can pick them up, which we don't. It's a 0-0 draw at the Stadium of Light. Let's see where we finish in the Champions League. We are at the end of the Champions League group stages and we are sitting 16th, which means we will have to go through the Champions League playoffs. It's not ideal. Those draws have absolutely killed us, but our dreams are still alive. We are in the playoffs, so let's just hope we can get an easy draw so we can reach the round of 16. The first leg is against Club Brugge. The Champions League god has heard us. We're off to Belgium. Can we pick up a massive win in Belgium? Which we don't. It ends in Belgium. Club Brugge 2, Sunderland 1. 2 late-ish goals. Ryan Cherky on the score sheet. We are at the Stadium of Light. It's the second leg in the playoffs to reach the round of 16 against Club Brugge. Can we pull this back to have a chance in the Champions League? Which we do. We pull it off massively. Ferran Torres, potentially with a hat-trick. No, Ferran Torres with 2 goals. Simon Adingra with 1. It ends Sunderland 3, Club Brugge 1. 4-3 on aggregate. We're into the round of 16. It's the round of 16 in the Champions League. It's the first tie. We've picked up RB Leipzig. Simon Adingra is injured again, so we will have to find somebody to replace him. Ethan Nawari will take his spot for the first tie of the Champions League round of 16. Can we pick up the first tie with a win? 2-0. Leonard Carl and Ferran Torres picks up the first win in the first leg. Second tie in the Champions League round of 16. Simon Adingra is out for 8 weeks, so he shouldn't be back for too much longer. Ethan Awari still sets in place. Van Leeuwen is a higher rated centre-back than Adair Natal, so he is slopping in that centre-back role. Can we get ourselves into the quarter-finals of the Champions League? Which we do. Just by 1 goal. Ferran Torres is the hero. Sunderland are in the Champions League quarter-finals. Get in. It's the Champions League quarter-finals. We are getting so close to that final. But in our way is Olympique Marseille. Can we get the win here? Which we don't. Which we do not. Olympique Marseille win 2-1. Leonard Carl on the score sheet. Wimmer on the score sheet. And Quentin Timber on the score sheet for Olympique Marseille. It's all down to the second leg. It's the second tie of the Champions League. We need an absolute masterclass at the Stadium of Light to enter Sunderland into the semi-finals. Which we do. 2-0 at the Stadium of Light. Ferran Torres and Ryan Cherky get themselves on the score sheet, and Sunderland book ourselves into the semi-finals. One step closer to that Champions League final. Champions League semi-final at the Stadium of Light against Borussia Dortmund. Can we win the first leg with an advantage going into the second leg? Which we do. Ferran Torres with a brace. We have a 2-goal advantage heading into the semi-finals against Borussia Dortmund. Can we pick up another victory, or at least get a draw, so we can get ourselves into that final? This is it. The semi-finals of the Champions League. We're at the BVD, Standy Old Dortmund against Borussia Dortmund, with a chance to book ourselves in the Champions League final. It's all down to this. Simon Adingra's back from injury. Can we get there? Which we do. Simon Adingra in the 98th minute of added time puts Sunderland into a Champions League final. Could this be it? Can we make Sunderland the champions of Europe? And we have done it. We have made Sunderland champions of England. What a season it has been. We have been top of the table for majority of the season. We finished on 79 points, with Arsenal sat behind on 72 points. Absolutely amazing. And Middlesbrough win the Emirates FA Cup against Swansea. That is a weird final, where we lose to Manchester United 2-1 in round 4. And West Ham United pick up the Carabao Cup, beating Brentford also 2-1. where we get defeated by the champions of West Ham. They beat us 3-2 in the quarter-finals. And the Europa League goes to Manchester City after they beat FC Porto 2-1. And Liverpool win the UEFA Conference League after beating Craiova 2-1. But don't you click off the video just yet, because we are now facing Chelsea in the Champions League final. Can we make Sunderland champions of Europe? And this is it. Sunderland v Chelsea in the Champions League final. Here we go. That's a lovely ball into Ferran Torres. Good save. Oh, we've still got the ball. Ah, it's gone out for a corner. We love this press early on. Cole Palmer can break. Lovely from Rico Lewis. Lovely ball to Ferran Torres. There's Leonard Cole. And he puts Sunderland ahead in the 14th minute in the Champions League final. You sip that tea, Leonard Cole. What a way to start this final. Here's Cole Palmer for Chelsea. He crosses that one in. Good header away. Can we counter-attack with Simon Adingra? It's a beautiful little run. That's a lovely little through ball into Ferran Torres. Can he put Sunderland 2-0 up? Yes, he can. Ferran Torres makes it Chelsea 0, Sunderland 2. This just might be it. We've still got it alive. We are passing it about a little bit. Lovely little 1-2 between Leonard Cole and Felix Nemecha. Lovely little dink. It's headed away out for a Sunderland corner. Ryan Cherky to take. It's a lovely little cross. He finds Ferran Torres. And it's headed away. Lovely little tiki-taka there. Ferran Torres. Lovely ball. Can we find that ball into Simon Adingra? He can definitely get onto that. Adingra. Torres is in there. Oh, and it's collected by Mike Penders, their goalkeeper. With Leonard Cole, who can't get the ball. Romeo Lavia. Cole Palmer. He finds Biena. Rico Lewis is on him like an absolute animal. Robin Roos collects. Maybe we can counter-attack here. If Ryan Chucky can get there. Oh, almost. The lovely little run from Leonard Cole. Oh, it's a lovely little run. Oh, can he go all the way? He finds Ferran Torres. Oh, he's just gone offside. No. That might as well put the game to bed if he was onside. Take a little look at that. Oh, just offside. Unacceptable, that. VAR, I'm calling it. VAR! Into Desar Doué. He's definitely doing something here, which I don't like. I really don't like this. That's a magnificent block. Enzo Fernandez. João Pedro. And he spoons that wide. Thank God. Oh, it's a lovely ball to Ferran Torres. He finds Ryan Cherky. Can Ryan Cherky get his goal? Yes, he can. That is the game in the bed. Ryan Cherky seals the deal. Chelsea 0, Sunderland 3. Let's take a look at this goal. Absolutely beautiful. Top bins. Well done, Ryan Cherky. Nemecha. Simon Adingra. Oh, Showboat. Oh, okay. You know what? Have a crack from distance. Oh, that almost went in. Go all the way, son, Chris Rigg. Chris Rigg, all the way. The local hero. Oh, he spooned it. Oh, he's actually spooned it. This might be the last kick of the game here from the Chelsea goalkeeper. We can just header that away. And there it is. Sunderland are Champions League winners. Here we have it. AFC Sunderland, champions of Europe. There we have it. What a season it's been, and what a rebuild it's been. 5 seasons. No shortcuts. No billion-pound miracles, just belief. It was a resurrection. The Stadium of Light is now a fortress once again. Thank you all so much for watching today's rebuild. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, subscribe and comment down below who I should rebuild next. And if you guys want to see me rebuild Coventry City, click the video here. Thank you all so much for watching. Peace.